My name's Justin Rangel. I've been working on the east side or eastern district for approximately 5 years. A lot of times there's a negative connotation associated with the east side and other parts of St. Paul, and it's there is good parts of everywhere if you ask me. We're coming up to Payne-Phalen kind of nighttime now that it's sun's gone. I think it's relatively safe. I would say you get a lot of calls for like juveniles loitering on corners or shooting dice behind some of these businesses. I would recommend, at nighttime walk around with somebody. I'd recommend doing that though in any neighborhood almost. But you tend to get people loitering, especially up here like the bus stops, and we'll notice. But that's where a lot of the calls come from.
What are the busiest bars around here?
I would say Louis is pretty busy. Yanarelli's. Now that I guess Bourne's is closing at midnight over on Rice Street, so a lot of the crowd from over there is coming here, which I've noticed a big increase in people loitering outside and fight calls. And we're coming up here to Edgerton and Case. It seems like in the last week or two, this area has been busy with a lot of juveniles fighting and loitering around here, especially at Wilder Rec Center, which is here on the corner of west corner of Edgerton and Case. I'd say the amount of gun calls has definitely increased. The amount of shots fired calls have definitely increased, and the amount of guns recovered has increased.
Over what time period?
I'd say over the last year. We're coming up to Tedesco and Burr, and early part of the summer, and even like last week, there's a number of people fighting and fight calls. A couple days ago, there was a fight of about 40 here at Burr and Fred.
As far as known gangs, which ones operated on the east side? The bigger ones?
Probably the most prevalent is the East Side Boys, and they've been around for several years. And their kind of rival, or who they feuded with, are Selby-Siders, which are over in the Western District, a lot of them. And then another kind of younger group is called Ham Crazy. That's another, and they oftentimes are seen with other East Side Boy.
So it's not a rivalry.
Right, it's East Side Boy gang members and associates. So I would say those two.
I don't see the rivalry between Selby side and east side as much recently as it seemed to before, like one that maybe years ago.
I think a couple years ago it was more prevalent. A lot of times, it seemed for a while there, a lot of those founding people in the East Side Boy and Selby Side gangs were being put away into prison. So now you're seeing, like last week I saw a couple guys that I haven't seen in a couple years, and that's because they're out of prison now. So you wonder if crime's gonna go up again because they're out, or if they've made a turn for the better. 10, 15, 10 to 25 York. And first part of the summer and the spring, we were here several times a night for fights. We'd be here all night long. And it seems like it's kind of quieted down. They did hire some off-duty officers to work up here, which seemed to help. Yeah, up here off Earl and kind of north by like Magnolia, there's been it's grid 55, and there's been a lot of burglaries, mostly between like 10 and 4 a.m. 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. You see a lot of times that they are the same people doing it over and over and over and over.
All right, so Lake Phalen, I was in the news years ago. It had a couple incidents around the lake.
Assaults or robberies, dispute at a wedding, because sometimes they have weddings up there too at the pavilion. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I can't remember the last time there was an incident out on the lake other than like a theft from auto that tends to happen over on the beach house side. I think, a lot of times it's often stereotyped like it's like really bad over here, and it's not. There's a lot of good people over here who have love living here. Lived here for a long time. Their families all grew up over here or worked in some of the businesses, and so you get a real sense of history over here.